Welcome class to week number 7 of CIS 101, Intro to Computers and Their Uses. So this week we'll be covering a new software. We started right with Word. Really we started with internet browsers and then we moved to Word. Then we did Excel. Now this week we're going to be doing our final productivity software, which is going to be presentation software. If you're familiar with PowerPoints and slideshows, then this should be a little bit of a review for you. So overview for this week, we'll dive into presentation software focusing on PowerPoint. It's a very useful tool used in business, education, pretty much all sectors where you need to pitch some kind of presentation, some kind of idea, present some kind of product or service or work. I typically will use PowerPoint or Google Slides, right, as we'll cover later in this presentation for my job, because I constantly have to do demonstrations or demos for the applications I create, for the projects I'm working on, for the progress I'm making on my work. So PowerPoint helps users create dynamic, visually appealing presentations for communicating ideas, sharing information, or delivering persuasive pitches. Now, of course, you're not only going to be using PowerPoint. We're going to also talk about Google Slides, which again, I always prefer the cloud-based Google Workspace suite because of the advantages, right, in sharing, collaborating, and just that, security of knowing your files are backed up on the cloud. And of course, it's always free, right, up to 15 gigabytes with your Gmail account. So you learn about the fundamentals of creating, formatting, and organizing slides, as well as tips for effective presentations that will be valuable in professional settings, such as marketing, project management, and public speaking. All right, let's talk slideshows. Just a little review. Remember, we're working on application software, different than operating software. And then, of course, we'll be talking about our installed software. That'll be Microsoft PowerPoint. And then our cloud software, it's going to be this little yellow one right here. That's going to be Google Slides. So PowerPoint's this red application with that P right there. All right, so presentation software. Presentation software, it's a category of productivity software. It's a type of application used to create visual slideshows for sharing information. Very simple. Definitely chock full of features, lots of things you could do with these types of software. But at its core, across different apps from different companies, they all do the same thing. It consists of slides that can include text, images, charts, and multimedia. Multimedia just means all sorts of different types of content. So it could be videos, it could be pictures, it could be audio, and so forth. So each slide serves as a visual aid for presenting information. So you can definitely present just words, but if you're going to take advantage of this presentation software, you're going to also want to add multimedia, right? Images, videos, and so forth. So commonly used for tasks like educational lectures, business presentations, and project reports. So yeah, business, school, all sorts of sectors. All right, so some of the features include slide transitions, animations. We'll be learning that in the second part of this week. So for the lab, just make sure you start with what you can do for animations, right? We'll go over that later on. And then we have templates, we have design tools for customization. You can export these in various formats. You could even do it as a PDF. You can turn these into videos. We're going to be talking about the different file extensions in a second. There is a special reserved file extension just for PowerPoint, so that you can just use it as a regular old slideshow. The popular applications, of course, are going to be Microsoft and Google. There's always going to be an Apple, right, counterpart that's not as popular. But we have Microsoft PowerPoint, we have Google Slides, and Apple Keynote as part of the popular presentation software that's out there. So remember, file type, this is actually review, right? These extensions are definitely not review, these are new. But a file type is the kind of data stored in a file. It's whatever goes after the file name, between that dot, right? Or right after the dot and the file name. So in the presentation software, the most typical file extension you're going to be using is PowerPoint, PPT, or PPTX, which is a newer version of PPT. we just call it PowerPoint, right? It is short for PowerPoint. You can certainly save it as a PDF. You could even do it as a video as well. But for the most part, we're just going to keep it as a PowerPoint. PDF can be useful though. Maybe you don't have the appropriate software on a certain computer, maybe your phone, for example, to view the presentation. So PDF's a little bit more flexible. You can just kind of scroll through those images, right, that it takes of the PowerPoint. So similar way as a PDF will take a picture, right, of a Word document or a docx document. So PowerPoint and PowerPoint X are file formats used for presentations primarily associated with Microsoft PowerPoint. They're the ones that created the extension, created the first version of the software. And so it was first released in 1987 by Microsoft. PowerPoint does stand for PowerPoint presentation, right? PPTX is the same pattern, of course, with that X, like we saw with DocX and XLSX. And it just indicates it's the newer format, better file compression and better compatibility across different software. And it's just notes used to create, edit, and share slideshows, right? So if you save it as a PowerPoint, you can go ahead and send it to someone. They'll be able to make changes to that slideshow and make it their own. So the first software we'll be covering in this class is, of course, going to be part of the Microsoft suite, as we did with Word and Excel. It's going to be Microsoft PowerPoint. So it's the presentation software, probably the most popular one. Of course, Google, right, giving it a run for its money. It's developed by Microsoft. The very first, right, one came back in 1987. Very first version of Microsoft PowerPoint. It has millions of users. So definitely not in the billions as we saw with the other applications. So not as ubiquitous, right? Not as popular, but definitely still very, very useful, very widely used. And again, it just enables users to create slides with text, images, charts, animations, multimedia, right? Just all sorts of different types of content, visual, audio, yeah, pretty much anything you can think of. So we're going to do a demo in the next video. We'll be covering on how to create a new slideshow, add and format slides, add multimedia, so different types of media, videos, for example, audio. We're going to format the slide themes, just to give some style to our slides without working too hard at building those styles. We'll be using some of the preset ones. Then, of course, we'll present our slideshow. I'll show you the different presentation options. And then we'll save our file, right? Very, very important for your lab so that you can submit it properly. So yeah, that'll be in the next video. I'll see you there.